Which sequence did you take, and why did you choose that biosequence?
I took the biomajors sequence, which is the course for people intended to be biomajors, but not the higher level AP5 sequence.
I chose the fundamental sequence.
I took the regular fundamental sequence.
I took the fundamental sequence.
I am on the molecules to organisms track.
I took the fundamental sequence my first and second years here. And I chose it because I really wanted like a well-rounded biology experience because I was really indecisive about what I wanted to major in, so I wasn't sure if I wanted to do neuroscience or bio. So like picking with different majors, it's a really good sequence because you take genetics, physiology, and then you have a bunch of different kinds of biology classes. So it's a really good way to expose yourself to a bunch of different things.
And the reason I took it was that I didn't have as much biology experience when I was in high school. It didn't have AP Bio available to me, so I really wanted to have that fundamental background available to me when I took biology at college.
I actually started out in the AP5 sequence, and when I received the first homework assignment, I realized that I felt way out of my depth. So the assignment was to read through a scientific paper. It was a normally published paper, and we were expected to summarize parts of it and show complete understanding of what the paper had tried to accomplish and the information it was getting across to us. I had never been asked to read a scientific paper before. I had no idea how to start this, and I was surrounded by students who had had that experience and who knew what they were getting into. So I realized that I simply didn't have the background that a lot of these students did, and I didn't feel comfortable jumping in my first year, in my first quarter of my first year when I was taking another three classes for a full quarter.
What were some of the pros of taking this course?
Some of the pros was definitely getting introduced to having an introduction to various fields like right away with like great faculty, great lab courses that taught me a lot of like beginner techniques in both wet labs and computational biology labs. These are some of the pros that I can think of.
Even though it was a fundamental sequence and was an AP Bio sequence, I still felt like the professors gave you exposure to different arenas in biology, and so it really helped me figure out what specialty I want to go into, and so that was the reason why I chose, for example, genetics as my specialization. So I just felt like they diversify the classes in a way where it helps you figure out what your specific interests are, even though biology has so many different topics you can go into.
So the biology fundamental sequence for biomajors starts out with cell and molecular and then goes into genetics, developmental biology, and physiology. I thought I learned quite a bit about foundational aspects of biology, and as I moved into lab work and as I started taking upper level courses, it was a great resource for me to look back on and realize that I had understood these things in class and could then apply them to either research that I was doing, journal clubs I was watching, or any kind of papers that I ended up reading. So it covered basically all the bases. I think what makes it difficult as a sequence is that they push so much information at you, but that is what's most valuable about it because you end up absorbing much more than you realize and later on being able to rely on that.
And what I really love about it is that I get to experience a lot of different facets of biology, from ecology to evolution to physiology, which really fits in well with my pre-health aspirations.
So I think the pros of the fundamental sequence is that you get a lot of wet lab time. I know that was something that I wasn't really exposed to in high school. You also get exposure to dry labs, a lot of like computer coding in our studio.
So taking the biology sequence for majors meant that I was exposed to a lot of people who were majors, not just pre-meds, which I really appreciated.
Some of my favorite parts was definitely talking to the students that kind of had that similar background as I did, and then struggling through biology together. It was tough, but it was really fun, and I enjoyed a lot of the classes that I took because of it. The good thing about it was that a majority of the students in the biology major take the fundamental sequence, so I just felt like I had a lot more resources in terms of my peers, and that because the professors know that students are in the fundamental sequence wanting to get that important foundation first, that they kind of understood that, and so they cultivated the curriculum appropriately. So I found that really helpful.
And were there any disadvantages or cons to the sequence you took?
Yeah, I think that, again, because the classes are so large, that you might feel like you're a little bit lost in the crowd of almost 100 students in a classroom, so that can make it kind of tough being able to participate in class. But I think what kind of alleviates that is professors make themselves very much available, and a lot of my professors that I would email, they'd respond very quickly, or they'd always have office hours.
Even though like the lecture was really big, I knew a lot of people in my lab section, so it felt a lot smaller than it seemed at first.
It is very rigorous if people think that is a con, but I personally don't. So it is a very rigorous sequence to get that introduction to different fields.
Do you have any advice for incoming freshmen regarding any of the topics we've talked about?
Yeah, one piece of advice that I'll definitely make sure to carry with you, and this is for any class, not just biology, is always make sure to ask questions. There's so much material that is being thrown at you, and it can be really exciting, but can also be overwhelming. And so there's nothing wrong with being confused on material that's being presented at you. So just making sure that whether it's in class, to ask a question that you have, and then even if you might think the question is a little silly, it's really important to just ask it anyways, because I'm sure there are at least 10 students in the same room who have the same question as you.
Don't narrow yourself down to one thing so early on in your career. Really take the time to explore different tracks and consider what you might be interested in. You don't have to be the typical pre-med or whatever that means to someone else. Decide what you want to be for yourself.
Do you have any advice for incoming freshmen?
If you have a really strong foundation in biology, the advanced sequence can definitely be for you. But the fundamentals, that doesn't mean you should discount the fundamental sequence. It provides you with a lot more depth that many of your peers at other institutions are ever going to see in the course of their degree. So the fundamental sequence is still very rigorous, even if you have a strong foundation in biology too.
I think in general it was a wonderful sequence, and I'd gladly take it again.